I think that we're going to see a trend of people, and people are going to be like, I'm doing it the Tierre method, right? Where they're going to go travel for a month or 2 or 3 and sell and realize the true virtualness of this business now. And you are the first one I've known to do it at this level. And I've met a lot of agents. So let's talk about sales. So you, as you said, you focus on IULs, and by way of IULs, seems like you're finding FIAs. Is that correct?
Yeah, I probably shifted more into focusing on so I did IULs for the first 6 months. Big full transparency, when I did go to Europe, I mean July through August, I didn't focus so much on IULs because of the timing. I focused on annuities, and really I hit a big annuity in July, and I was like, okay, I'm only 1.5 away from Hall of Fame. Let me see if I can hit it. So I focused on that really much the rest of the year. So yeah, I finished up the year with like 2.68 mil, like number 10 in FFL annuities, which is super cool. It's like one trophy I have that my upline doesn't have, which is cool. Um, but outside of that, I mean, yeah, it's really IUL structured, and then you find the other stuff as you go along.
Okay, so so are your leads IUL based, or are they general life, or what are your main leads right now?
Yeah, they're IULs.
So will you just from a training standpoint, will you break down kind of how that goes? I mean, obviously either you're tying them in through a email or text, but then when you get on to present, those are always what I love to, and whatever, if there's part of that email and text, it's a huge component of locking it down, which I think it is. What are the magic words that Tierre says to get these clients to trust you, builds confidence in you, builds confidence in the product that they then
Yeah.
want to move forward, that then you can build this life where you're selling in a tighter window, but still hitting these big numbers. So what are those words? What are those
Yes.
things you're
So
doing?
nothing really special. And I tell that to my team too. It's nothing really special. It's almost coming off non-salesy. So during the discovery call, a lot of times clients are weary about even having the call because they think you're going to be sold something. So I tell them within the first 20 seconds, like, hey, by the way, Grady, just so you know, this is not a sales call, and I can't even sell you anything. We're just going to talk. So
Okay.
what happens is the sales pressure comes way down. We're just having a conversation. We're going to keep this conversational and simple. Also, feel free and I always say this, and my wife jokes because our offices are kind of back to back on each other in the house. But I always say, like, look, I'm married with 2 daughters, so if you need to interrupt me, I'm totally used to it, right? And every client, oh my gosh, man, bless your heart, oh this and that. And women are like, yeah, I'm gonna interrupt. I'm like, perfect, don't worry, I won't feel bad at all. And I say that again to bring the sales pressure down. Then we just go over, like, what do you have? What do you currently have now? Do you have a 401k? Do you know how they work? Do you know why an IU, like when you looked at the IUL information, did you have any questions? You want me to give you a summary? So they have to respond. Very conversational. I also kind of go a little bit into health, but I don't disqualify it at health. So like if a client says like, "Oh yeah, my health is not that great. I had a heart attack." I still don't even really I don't flinch and say, "Oh, an IUL is not for you." Because if you show up to my Zoom, you still want something. You're still looking for coverage. I just then pivot to wherever it is. So I don't do an early disqualification. I think sometimes agents do, and then they're like, "Oh, well, you can't get an IUL. Click, it's gone. They're gone forever. You'll never get them back." So it's a conversation to keep it simple. We'll go over their budget, how much they're saving, how much they're putting in. I've heard people use, the 10% rule, the 5% rule, all of that. I just keep it simple. How much are you putting into your bank account on a monthly basis? Oh, I'm putting 400. Great. Do you like getting 0.01% from the bank? No. How about we put it somewhere, or maybe we put a little bit of it somewhere where you could get like 8 to 10% year over year. Okay, that sounds good. Great. When can I get you on a Zoom so I can show it to you? Because I need to kind of crunch the data and see what's the right plan for you. I'm not going to just rush into this and do this over the phone with you. So all of mine are pitched to Zooms. Now, if a client says, hey, I don't have time to schedule something later, great. Get your email. I'm going to send you a Zoom link right now and I'm going to one call close it. But I'm still going to show it to you on a Zoom because I need you to see me. Just
Yeah.
like when we were in the field, you would see me.
Yeah.
So during the appointment, it's the same thing. Hey, thanks for showing up to the Zoom. Remember, I'm that goofy guy with baseball cap that got a flamingo on it, right? That's me. I see you didn't dress up. That's great. No problem. So we're just gonna jump into it. I'm gonna share my screen. I generally tell them that I'm not gonna look at my main camera screen because I have a big 55-inch on this wall, so I could see everything. I share my screen. The truth of it is I don't want to look at the video and get distracted with what they're doing. So I don't. I keep the Zoom over there and everything else is on my other screen. So I'm just talking data and hearing them, but eliminating the distraction. And then I build the illustration real time. I'm not crunching any numbers or putting anything together ahead of time because I know how to do it. I could do it real time when they show up. In the beginning, I would always pitch to Zoom because I needed that window to figure out my process. But now I'm just pitching to Zoom just to see if they show up. And I'm okay with that because if they don't show up, they weren't really interested and I dial anyway. But if they show up, pretty much 9 out of 10 we're closing.
It's great.
Yeah.
Those are good numbers.
It's pretty simple. And I would say that's the same with like mostly everybody on my team. Like if you get, 5 or 6 Zooms a week, they're, 5 or 6 clients on Zoom, they're closing, if not 80, 90% of them.
So you're obviously digging into the why, right? Who do you have to protect? What are you currently saving? But then you're going to give a few points on what the IUL is. They review it. You send them a website beforehand, a video going through the IUL beforehand. What are kind of your
Oh,
three,
is just that stuff? Yeah, yeah. So it's really simple. 401k goes up and down like a EKG machine. So I'm painting that picture. It's a phone call, right? So
got
your
it?
401k, like is going up or down like a EKG. You know what that is? Yeah.
It's
Okay,
good.
cool. So you know what an IUL does? Is it goes up kind of like a staircase, right? Sometimes I'm talking to people and they're driving, right? Truckers and
Got
stuff
it.
like that. I'm like, you know what an EKG looks like? And they're like, yeah, that thing's up and down. Yeah, perfect. We don't want that. We're gonna do like more like a staircase where it's gonna go up or level, but never down or backwards. Simple. People are in the grocery store. People are with kids. They're gonna remember certain touch points, EKG or staircase. So just painting that little picture. Um, so really simple. You pick the monthly payment. So you told me that you're saving X. Do you want to look at an illustration for just that? Or at the end of the day, I tell all my clients to go with what is comfortable for them. And I know that's subjective, but if you ask me what a monthly car payment is that's comfortable, I would say 1,500 a month, and most people would freak out. So for you, client, what's your comfortable monthly premium that you want me to illustrate and put together for you specifically? And they tell me a number. And then I'm like, okay, when we get on that Zoom, write down 2 things for me. If you could write down, just in case I forget, which I never do because it's the first thing I say anyway. But if you could write down 2 things for me, write down overfunding and write down flexible premiums. A lot of people won't tell you about that, but I'm going to share that with you on the Zoom. So make sure you show up, and I'm gonna go over those things with you.
Little curiosity hook you do there.
Right. I told them something, but I really didn't tell them anything. The marketing for the lead flow kind of tells them the differences between IULs and 401ks. So almost like we're kind of like regurgitating the same information back to them and asking if they have clarity on questions or whatnot. Questions or most people have like they want a summary. So I just keep it very simple. The monthly payment goes in, a little bit of it goes to insurance, the rest of it compounds interest. You could put more into it if you want to and overfund it. You could put little less into it. If you're a younger person, do you have kids? Yes. Okay. Do you have any other types of life insurance? No. Okay, great. We're going to talk about that on the Zoom. Honestly, I ask it just for conversation, but I forget about it by the time I get on the Zoom. Because I really like I should probably do better in writing it down, but it usually comes up again in conversation. Like if I talk to a 38-year-old and he has 2 kids, he's going to mention it again when I get to the beneficiaries, or when I'm structuring the annuity, I'm structuring the illustration, it's going to pop up again. I could get better at that, but I just don't. I've never done it before, so I'm not going to really change anything that's not broken just yet. Um, but yeah, I asked those basic things, and then when we get into the Zoom, I share my screen and show them everything. And I show them everything also from like not just the carrier that we're looking at in the illustration, but I also like, I keep tabbing over to my calendar. So
Okay.
if we're like 15, 20 minutes in and we're not past or out of the illustration and already doing the app, I'm tapping my calendar so they could see I'm busy because I'm usually back to back on Zooms or calls. And they're like, "Oh, what's that? Oh, that's my next appointment after you. So are you actually serious about moving forward or are we just asking questions?" And then they're like, "Oh, no, I'm serious." Okay, great. Then from this point forward, we need to kind of get into it or we're just going to have to stop right now. And and they're like, "Okay." And then I'm like, "Oh, great. I'm going to go ahead and open the application. We're going to put this thing together for you." I don't like a lot of small talk. I'm a guy, right? I don't like a lot of small talk, so I'm not going to do it. I just want to focus on your case. So indirectly, it's kind of like telling the client, like, "Hey, there's going to be silence, like dead air, and that's
I'm gonna
okay
work
because I
your behalf.
told you about it.
Yes.
Yeah, I told you I was going to be quiet because I'm a guy and I can't multitask. And usually I'm multitasking like on overdrive. Like I'm doing an application, I'm talking to an agent, I'm texting on WhatsApp, I'm all over the place while I'm doing an app. But if I'm talking also, it would be too much. It wouldn't be able to talk, text, and message at the same time. So, yeah, that's what I do just to get the client to kind of be quiet.
So, okay, policy gets in. What are your any tie downs, any touch points, takeaways, staff follow up, thank you cards, brownies, flowers? What is your post or closing the sale, then post sale process to keep that persistency high?
Post sale process, once they get approved, I say, I send that text message or give them a call, say, "Hey, I'm honestly so thankful you just got approved." Whether if especially if you're like a smoker or had other issues going on, man, I am so surprised that you got approved. Thanks for going through the steps of like the telephone interviews, APS, whatever it may be. But I'm very thankful that you got it. This is a policy that you can't get again. I'm honestly surprised even that you got it. And they're like, really? And I'm like, yeah, they don't really take a lot of 50-year-old smokers nowadays. Like IULs they're hard to get, right? And that's my lockdown. Then I tell them, hey, my team is gonna send you a note probably in about 3 weeks. It's just like a thank you, like thank you if you have any questions about your policy, and then you're not gonna hear from me again until your next birthday, and it's not gonna be me requesting anything. It's just saying me happy birthday. What and literally I write them out. Like my kids stamp them. They have all these birthday cards, so they stamp them, and then I just sign it and I usually have it say like, reach out if you need anything or something like that. It just has my name and a little stamp, and then I just sign it, and then it gets mailed out. But I tell the client like, you're gonna get that birthday wish. It's not me asking for anything at all. And they're like, oh, but if I know, if clients usually bring it up, but what if I know somebody? Oh, if you know somebody, yeah, yeah, give them my number, but I'm never gonna ask you for that. And they're like,
Oh,
all right, cool, Tierra, thanks. I'm like, yeah. Now, last year I was doing like a referral program sort of thing or whatever, and you know, um, I was doing like a $25 gift card or something like that. This lady took me to the bank, man. She gave me a whole bunch of referrals, probably like 40 or 50 referrals from one lady. She was like, and they're all still on the books, like people from her church, her family, all of that. But it was just like one client that felt like she was being sold the wrong product for years and years and years, term products that ended, different things. So when I showed this to her, although it wasn't a majorly big policy, um, and I was very patient, right? I had 3 Zooms with her for a small policy, value or whatnot.
sure.
But that one lady turned into like 60 that
Wow.
were all over the place. They were from 50 to 1,000 to 2,000. I mean, they were all over the place. Um, and every person I talked to, they were like, yeah, Bianca, that's the lady's name. She was like, Bianca told me you were very patient and you are very patient. One of my clients said, "You do roll your eyes a little bit," and I said, "Oh, that's probably not at you though. I'm doing other things." So it could have been like a text message. "Oh no, that's fine, sweetie." And I was like, "Okay." So I'm mindful of that? Yeah, sometimes because I'm not looking at the Zoom. I'm looking at the data.
Got it.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Well, so as we finish up, what is some final advice you've got to the new agents out there, the that are getting started, or the existing agents that are just kind of floating at that 5, 10, 15 a month, but want to kick in the next gear, but have fears, doubts, and worries, and then they hear your story and you're all polished and driven. I mean, what would be some advice you'd have for all of them?
Um, First, make sure you have the proper lead flow.
Got it.
And don't turn it off. So if you're not getting, like, if you should be getting at least, and I think it's basic that I do with my team is like you should be the mindset, right? Is you should make at least make your lead flow pay back, right? Like when you're in a W-2 job, you get paid, you pay your bills, and you're broke, right? That's W-2 life. So in this world, you should pay your bills, you should pay your lead flow, and if you're broke, that's okay because you're actually still in business because you paid your lead flow. You have the chance to get better.
Yeah.
So I usually say give yourself 90 days, at least 90 to 120 days to at least get better. But if you're paying your bills and you're paying your leads and you're still not, turning that profit, you need to reach up to somebody who's doing it at a high level in your org or outside the org to help you get over where you're losing the client. A lot of my agents sometimes, they're losing the client at the discovery call. And I'm like, how are you losing them there? You didn't tell them anything. I don't tell anybody really anything in the discovery call. It's kind of like a 7 minute, for me, it's like a 7 minute discovery call just to hook you to get to the Zoom. So have consistent lead flow. Don't give up on yourself too early. It does take time to feel comfortable and to get comfortable at this. If you're only trying to do IULs and you're not comfortable on the phone, you should go dial some final expense and do final expense to cash flow yourself. Um, because it's an easier product. Death, what's your monthly payment? How much you can qualify for. Like it's really, one, two, three. It's pretty simple. Um, and then I don't know, just
Get
I
out.
don't want to like never overtrain,
Got it.
because if you overtrain too in IULs and annuities, you're gonna be like mind boggled with all these word tracks that are all over the place, and it's really not that complicated.
That's
Just
awesome.
yeah, man, just kind of I like on my side, we're always telling agents like just try to keep it as simple as possible, and just be consistently boring.
There you go.
Yeah,
There you go. Not too high, not too low, controlled, like a doctor, right? Doctor doesn't come in and go, "You've got cancer," or "You don't have cancer." He comes in, he goes, "Test for negative." Stay on your vitamins and let's and work out. Stuff. So
yeah.
that's awesome to hear, man. It's just hearing you from stage to now. It's in, I think that we're going to see a trend of people, and people are going to be like, I'm doing it the Tierre method, right? Where they're going to go travel for a month or two or three and sell and realize the true virtualness of this business now. And you are the first one I've known to do it at this level, and I've met a lot of agents, and so I'm just cheers to you for having the
Yeah,
drive,
man.
foresight. I'm sure it was not easy in the beginning, figuring it out and getting to Wi-Fi and figuring out VPNs and figuring out how to get
Oh
logins and
yeah.
all the things. And then the carriers are like, "You submitted 3 apps, and it looks like you're in Peru, sir. Is that correct?"
Yeah.
It's
No,
yeah.
and then I was like, oh man, I need to VPN to the US or like, certain annuity carriers you can't submit international, right? So I VPN to the US and,
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff. Or like there was one time I remember in Greece too, like the Wi-Fi was so bad. So I went to the US consulate. I was like, hey, I need space for like an hour. And they were like, you're a US citizen. I showed them my passport and they were like, yeah, what do you need it for? I said, I have an important meeting I need to be on. and it was an IUL presentation. But they put me in like a little space where I could have it. They said, you have it for 55 minutes. I said, don't worry, I'll be done in 30. And I just had my laptop, baseball cap, a polo, and flip-flops. There was no official business. There was nothing. I had 55 minutes to knock this out. But yeah, you can do this job from wherever. Just be mindful of your time zones. And it's made like I'm old school, so I was like, obviously my phone was connected to the time somewhere else. My laptop I kept on East Coast, but then I would be confused all the time. Like, is it 4? Is it 6? Is it? I had no idea. So I had a piece of paper that I always kept with me. And on that piece of paper, one of my admins wrote it up and said, if it's 4 p.m. where you are, it's this time on the East Coast and it's this
Got it.
time in California. And I would just be like, oh, okay, I'm in the right time zone, because,
There you go. The daylight
yeah.
savings times comes in, and then everything gets shifted an hour, and
Oh,
you're.
it's a complete
Yeah.
disaster. Yeah, complete disaster. Yeah.
I love it, man. Well, thank you so much. But this was wonderful. I truly think you've opened the eyes of so many agents, and that's what our goal is. How do we look at this business, appreciate this business, and then go crush it? And I just appreciate your time. And let's go make it a huge week, huge month, and go crush it the rest of this year.